Hello everybody, it's Lazel here with another Magic the Gathering EDH deck tech. Today I'm talking about Calix, Guided by Fate. He is a 3 mana 2/2 with Constellation, which says whenever Calix, Guided by Fate or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Whenever Calix or an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you may create a token that's a copy of a non-legendary enchantment you control. Do this only once each turn. Calix is an absolute powerhouse and only needs a few enchantments on the fields to go completely crazy. As soon as he connects, you will just flood the board with tokens turn by turn and overwhelm your opponents with a lot of value. Let's see how we enchant our creatures. For example, Giant in Heritage, a 5 mana enchantment aura which says enchanted creature gets +5/+5 and has whenever this creature attacks, create a monster roll token attached up to one target attacking creature. When Giant in Heritage is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, return it to its owner's hand. Daybreak Coronet, a 2 mana enchantment aura, enchant creature with another aura attached to it, which is quite easy in this deck. Enchanted creature gets +3/+3 and has first strike, vigilance and lifelink. Ethereal armor is not only really cheap, it's also really powerful. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each enchantment you control and has first strike. Alpha Authority, enchanted creature is hexproof and can't be blocked by more than one creature. Armadillo Cloak, 3 mana enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has trample. Whenever enchanted creature deals damage, you gain that much life. And All That Glitters, a 2 mana enchantment. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact and or enchantment you control. There are a lot of cheap enchantments that can help you to control the board. For example, Grasp of Fate, a 3 mana enchantment. When Grasp of Fate enters the battlefield, for each opponent, exile up to one target non-land permanent that player controls until Grasp of Fate leaves the battlefield. Ossification, a 2 mana enchantment, which says enchant basic land you control. When Ossification enters the battlefield, exile target creature or planeswalker an opponent controls until Ossification leaves the battlefield. Another enchantment with a little bit more protection on itself is Sealed from Existence, a 3 mana enchantment with Ward 3. When Sealed from Existence enters the battlefield, exile target non-land permanent opponent controls until Sealed from Existence leaves the battlefield. Let's talk a little bit about Carddraw. Sithis, Harvest Sand, a 2 mana 1/2 which says whenever you cast an enchantment spell, which will be quite often in this deck, you gain more life and draw a card. Citizen Champion is an absolute powerhouse on itself, a 3 mana 1/3 with Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on Citizen Champion and draw a card. Enchantress Presence, a 3 mana enchantment. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, draw a card. Eidolon of Blossoms, a 4 mana 2/2 with Constellation. Whenever Eidolon of Blossoms or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Mesa Enchantress, a 3 mana 0/2. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you may draw a card. Ondu Spirit Dancer, a 5 mana 3/3. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may create a token that's a copy of it. Do this only once each turn. Ondu Spirit Dancer not only gives you a lot of value combined with Calix, he also doubles a few card draw effects depending on how you time it. Let's discount our enchantments that we are going to cast. With Jukai Naturalist, a 2 mana 2/2 lifelink, enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Herald of the Pantheon, a 2 mana 2/2, enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. Whenever you cast an enchantment spell, you gain more life. Starfield Mystic, a 2 mana 2/2, enchantment spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. And whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, put a +1/+1 counter on Starfield Mystic. Let's see how this deck ramps. A really great card in this deck is Kodama of the Westry, because 3 mana 3/3 reach and modified creatures you control have trample. As soon as an aura is attached to one of your creatures, it is officially modified. Whenever a modified creature you control deals combat damage to a player, search a library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, then shuffle. Sanctum Weaver, a 2 mana 0/2 enchantment creature. Tap it to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of enchantments you control. Dryad of the Elysian Grove, a 3 mana 2/4. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. Lands you control are every basic land type in addition to their other types. And my favorite card in this deck, Composer of Spring, a 2 mana 1/3 with Constellation. Whenever an enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, you may put a land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. If you control 6 or more enchantments, instead you may put a creature or land card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. You want to win more? You get it. Ancestral Mask, a 3 mana enchantment aura which says enchanted creature gets +2/+2 for each other enchantment on the battlefield. Janna, Red Tooth Regent, a 4 mana 4/4, and for 2 mana and tap her, choose target enchantment you control that doesn't have the same name as another permanent you control. Create a token that's a copy of it, except it isn't legendary. If the token is an aura, untap Janna, Red Tooth Regent, then scry 2, activate only as a sorcery. Timber Paladin, a 2 mana 1/1. As long as Timber Paladin is enchanted by exactly one aura, it has base power and toughness 3/3. As long as Timber Paladin is enchanted by exactly 2 auras, it has base power and toughness 5/5 and vigilance. As long as Timber Paladin is enchanted by 3 or more auras, it has base power and toughness 10/10, vigilance and trample. Elivir of the Wild Court, a 4 mana 4/4. Whenever Elivir of the Wild Court enters the battlefield or attacks, create a Virtuous Roll token attached to another target creature you control. And whenever an enchanted creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Lightpaws, Emperor's Voice, a 2 mana 2/2. Whenever an aura enters the battlefield under your control, if you cast it, you may search a library for an aura card with mana value less than or equal to the aura and with a different name than each aura you control. Put that card onto the battlefield attached to Lightpaws, Emperor's Voice, then shuffle. And another card that can definitely close out games is Boon of the Spirit Realm, a 5 mana enchantment with Constellation. Whenever Boon of the Spirit Realm or another enchantment enters the battlefield under your control, put a blessing counter on Boon of the Spirit Realm. Creatures you control get +1/+1 for each blessing counter on Boon of the Spirit Realm. Alright guys, these were a few cards that I personally would play in a Calix Guided by Fate deck. Let us know down in the comments below which cards you would also play in this deck, which legendary creature I shall feature next, and then I would say see you in the next one. Goodbye guys.